It's Monday, September 29th. In the headlines, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says all government members are back on the job after election win. Regionally, Barbados calls for halt to growing military tensions in the region. And in sports, top of the table showdown, Garvey Messio and Glenmuir set for crucial Da Costa Cup clash. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness has assured Jamaicans in the diaspora that his administration wasted no time getting back to work following its third consecutive general election victory on September 3. Speaking at a reception hosted at the Jamaican consulate in New York Friday night, Dr. Holness emphasized that there was no honeymoon period after the win.
We know that there is no honeymoon in this election, so we are going right back to work. We took no breaks. The government never took a break. Government operated seamlessly throughout the elections. Those of you who observed it, you would realize that the administration that we lead is one that operates seamlessly. Whether it is a pandemic, whether it is a hurricane, or whatever major issues that may occur, we believe that there must be no break or disruption in government.
Dr. Holness says the electorate made it clear that they expected continuity and results, not downtime. The Prime Minister stressed that the government intends to maintain that momentum in order to deliver more for the Jamaican people.
There are certainly now more persons who are looking deeply and examining the statements made, the policy positions preferred, the propositions. They're looking at them very seriously and making their decisions based upon the performance and the credibility of the government. And I think that augurs well for Jamaica. It means that Jamaica will become more economistic in its views. And once we develop that economistic culture, then we are well on our way to being pro-growth, pro-efficiency.
His remarks came after addressing the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness has taken the country's concerns to the world stage, calling for urgent action on climate financing, stronger support for Haiti, and policies that include Cuba in the global economy. Dr. Holness delivered Jamaica's national statement at the 80th United Nations General Assembly in New York on Friday. Danita Rodney reports.
Addressing global leaders, Prime Minister Holness warned that climate change is hitting small island states like Jamaica the hardest, destroying infrastructure, displacing communities, and reversing years of development. He said Jamaica is doing its part with renewable energy and net zero goals, but financing remains a major hurdle.
Jamaica has demonstrated unwavering leadership in climate action despite our limited resources. We have committed to achieving net zero emissions by 2050 and have implemented our national adaptation plan with specific measures to build resilience across key sectors, and we are on track to achieve our renewable energy target of 50% by 2030. However, our efforts and those of other SIDS are severely constrained by the lack of predictable access to financing. The promise of $100 billion annually remains unfulfilled. The Loss and Damage Fund established at COP28 was historic, yet its initial capitalization of $800 million is grossly inadequate.
The Prime Minister also pressed for fairer access to financing, endorsing the Multidimensional Vulnerability Index and debt for climate swaps as tools to help reform-oriented economies like Jamaica.
Jamaica supports the application of the Multidimensional Vulnerability Index that more accurately assesses countries' development needs and their eligibility for concessional financing. Jamaica also strongly supports innovative financing mechanisms, including debt for climate swaps, debt for nature swaps, and blended finance instruments that can unlock private sector investments in sustainable development projects while reducing debt burdens. We welcome initiatives such as the IMF's Resilience and Sustainability Trust and call for its expansion to support more countries in building climate resilience.
Turning to regional issues, Dr. Holness said the situation in Haiti remains dire and called for deeper international support.
Despite progress made, the situation remains dire. As we contemplate next steps, we urge member states, especially those in the Security Council, to operationalize the recommendations made by the Secretary General for a transition to a more robust hybrid mechanism to deal with the situation in Haiti. We call on member states to provide the necessary financial and logistic support to ensure the success of this initiative.
He also urged policies to integrate Cuba into the global economy and warned that Caribbean nations alone cannot fight the threats of climate change and organized crime.
Madam President, multilateralism must deliver fairness for all countries to believe that constructive dialogue and engagement offers the best path forward for all countries. That is the case, Madam President, for the people of Cuba, so that they may be able to fully participate in the global economy. We encourage continued domestic reform in Cuba and greater integration into international systems, supported by policies that enable progress rather than isolation.
Reporting for the news on PBCJ, I am Danita Rodney.
JMMB Group's Chief Executive Officer, Keith Duncan, OJ, has been appointed to serve in the Senate of Jamaica under the current Jamaica Labour Party administration. This appointment is in recognition of Mr. Duncan's long-standing contributions to Jamaica's economic and social development over the past 2 decades. His service has transcended political lines. We caught up with Mr. Duncan after he was sworn in to the Upper House last week.
Jamaica is at a point now where we're almost in 60% debt to GDP ratio. The dividends from all the sacrifice and the efforts we have made around fiscal consolidation and achieving macroeconomic stability, we now need to invest in our human capital, invest in infrastructure development, roads and water for our people, our schools, our health. And we need to make sure that we're creating a more productive society with people at the core. And I believe this is what this administration is standing for, and I am here to make my contribution to this effort to move Jamaica forward, to realize its true potential and greatness.
Mr. Duncan's leadership has been instrumental in several key national initiatives, including the Jamaica Debt Exchange under the JLP administration, the National Debt Exchange, and co-chair of the Economic Program Oversight Committee under the People's National Party administration, chairman of EPOC under the current JLP government, leadership of the Fiscal Advisory Committee, and support for the Independent Fiscal Commission, contributions to Project STAR, NICTAC, the National Broadband Initiative, and the divestment of Caymanas Track Limited, as well as president of the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, where he championed inclusive growth and private sector collaboration. Big changes are here for motorists. Jamaica's motor vehicle fitness and registration process has gone fully digital. No more paper certificates, no more decals. Drivers now receive their fitness certificates electronically, and the Island Traffic Authority says the new system is designed to make the process faster, safer, and easier to access. In part 1 of this feature, we learn about navigating the new e-fitness process.
Things have changed when it comes to motor vehicle fitness and registration. It's all gone digital. No more paper, no more decal. And we're here to help you navigate this new process. Let's focus on the fitness process. First up, you need to purchase your fitness fee. This can be done online at jamaicatax.gov.jm or in person at the tax office cashier. Next step is a visit to the Island Traffic Authority.
You will need to come to our service hub and you should present to the examiner your proof of payment for the certificate of fitness fee. Once you have presented that, a representative of the Island Traffic Authority will give you a registration form on which you'll be asked to place your email address and the chassis number of the vehicle. Now, even though you would have placed the chassis number on that form, it's a very small form, our examiner will ensure that they make a check with the vehicle to see that the chassis number that you have placed on that registration form is indeed accurate. We check for your brakes, we check your lights, we check your horn, your exhaust system, we check for your tires, and we check for the level of tint that you have on your vehicle, your steering wheel, and the integrity of your front end, among other things. So soon as that is finished, the examiner will determine a pass or failure of your vehicle. The necessary data entry will be made in our system, and at the end of that process, a reference number will be sent to your email, the email that you would have issued to us. When that number comes up on your email, you will then be required, and we have made it convenient to you. We have a QR code that you can scan, and it will take you to the certificate generation and distribution system portal. You would be required to put that unique number plus your chassis number, and you generate the e-fitness which will come on your device. You're encouraged to ensure that you check the details on the e-certificate before departing the service hub.
If you don't have a smartphone or any device to access your email, a representative of the Island Traffic Authority will assist you with a device.
And if you do not have an email, we have a generic email for the Island Traffic Authority that you can utilize to generate your e-fitness for check-in.
In a weather update, the Meteorological Service of Jamaica says we can expect widely scattered showers and thunderstorms to affect sections of most parishes, especially northern parishes. Fishers and other marine interests, especially those operating across offshore areas of the southern and northern marine zones, should continue to exercise caution, as occasional thunderstorms and strong gusty winds are expected to prevail into tomorrow afternoon. The Met Service says in a release that the trough introduced by Tropical Storm Imelda which has been producing showers and thunderstorms over sections of the southern and northwestern parishes since Saturday, has drifted towards the north and away from the island. In the business report, senior executives are repositioning their stock holdings. Corporate entities have reported to the stock exchange that they are reshuffling their stock holdings. Mayberry Jamaican Equities has advised that a connected party purchased 55,450 MJE shares on September 25, 2025. Mayberry Group Limited has advised that during the period September 22 to September 25, 2025, connected parties purchased a total of 149,185 MGL shares. Supreme Ventures Limited has advised that on September 24, 2025, a connected party purchased 1 million SVL shares. Supreme Ventures Limited has also advised that on September 25, 2025, a connected party purchased 5 million SVL shares. Sagicor Group Jamaica Limited has advised that the trustee of the SLJ Employee Share Purchase Plan purchased 109,055 SJ shares on September 24, 2025. Denise Williams has more news about the movements in the financial market.
For the trading period, these were the most actively traded stocks. Toll road operator Trans Jamaica Highway Limited Jamaican dollar shares of 15,001,182 units traded, representing 30.55% of market sales volume. Gas station operator Future Energy Source Company Limited ordinary shares with 10,099,806 units traded, representing 20.57% of market sales volume. Beverage distributor Jamaican Teas Limited shares with 2,766,626 units traded, representing 5.63% of market sales volume. We now shift our focus to the Forex market rate set by the Bank of Jamaica. On September 28, 2025, the Bank of Jamaica reported US $51.09 million purchased and US $49.31 million sold by Forex traders. Forex traders earned $2.05 per dollar, selling the US at $161.26 and buying the US at $159.21. The Canadian dollar netted Forex traders $6.57 per transaction, with selling at $121.15 and buying at $114.58. The British pound yielded Forex traders $1.03 in profits, with selling at $216.35 and buying at $215.32. For our credit report tip of the day, you can have the best ideas, the sharpest ambition, and the strongest work ethic. But when it comes to turning your vision into something the bank will fund, it all starts with one thing: your credit report. That document is not just numbers. It's your financial reputation, your track record, and your ticket to being taken seriously when you ask for funding, whether that's for a mortgage, a business loan, or an investment line of credit. And that wraps up today's business report. I'm Denise Williams. See you soon.
In regional news, Barbados' Prime Minister Mia Mottley is calling for respect of Caribbean sovereignty and an end to rising military tensions in the region. Addressing the 80th United Nations General Assembly, she warned the Caribbean must never be treated as collateral damage. Prime Minister Mottley also pressed for action on climate change, long-term support for Haiti, and stronger efforts to stop the flow of illegal weapons threatening small democracies.
There has been a buildup in military assets in the last few weeks in the Caribbean by both sides, by the United States of America and by Venezuela. We believe that any such buildup could occasion just an accident. And if it does, a simple accident can put the Southern Caribbean at disproportionate risk. I need not tell you, therefore, what a war can do. It is not acceptable for our islands, our countries, to be viewed as collateral damage. I propose that one possible way forward is to focus on emissions rather than focusing on the fossil fuel industry. As I've said before, the fossil fuel industry is not the enemy. It is the emissions. In this regard, we should consider working towards a globally legal binding framework on methane, which could contribute to reversing global temperatures, I'm told by the scientists, by as much as 0.5 degrees, while purchasing time for the fossil fuel industry to scale up to a commercial level the use of decarbonizing technology. Haiti requires, I've said it over and over, a long-term support plan that addresses security and development, not one at the expense of the other. With the requisite political will, the UN Security Council and the international development system are well equipped. They have the resources and power to deliver. We also want to urge dialogue with our friends and partners, especially in the United States, on the inescapable issue on the flow of small arms and light weapons, not only to Haiti, but indeed across this entire hemisphere. Fragile economies in the democracies of the Caribbean community are now being threatened by this incessant flow of illegally obtained weapons and increasingly organized criminal elements which utilize them. But we will use the systems to deal with them collectively and in accordance with due process.
At the United Nations General Assembly, Prime Minister John Bresciano didn't just talk about borders. He also sounded the alarms on climate change, a crisis hitting small island developing states like Belize the hardest. Bresciano reminded world leaders that Belize ranks as the 5th most vulnerable small island state to climate risk. The Prime Minister warned that Belize's food security and fragile ecosystems are under serious threat, calling for urgent global action before it's too late.
In COP30 in Belém, Belize urges the G20, responsible for 80% of emissions, to commit to more ambitious emission reduction targets. Developed nations and development banks must lead the mobilization of $1.3 trillion in climate finance and prioritize SIDS, whose adoption and lost and damaged needs are most urgent. It is high time, past time, for the global financial system to reward environmental stewardship, to recognize the true value of these natural assets for long-term resilience. Consider this. 30% of the world's ocean lie within the jurisdiction of small island developing states, much under some form of protection. These marine environments help regulate the global climate, yet we receive little for our efforts. Only 1% of climate finance flows to SIDS, half of which are loans. Meanwhile, the fossil fuel industry, with trillions of dollars in subsidies annually, is not just perverse, it is dangerous. Let us reverse this by investing more, much more in nature-based and nature-positive solutions. With only 5 years remaining to achieve the SDGs, urgency is paramount.
Imagine traveling at speeds of over 300 miles per hour. This isn't a scene from science fiction. It's China's high-speed bullet train revolutionizing travel and connecting cities like never before. Marlon Samuels crisscrossed China using bullet trains, and he filed this report.
In just under 4 hours, this engineered marvel whisks passengers from Beijing to Suzhou, a city renowned for its beautiful gardens and the silk industry. Traveling at 320 miles per hour, the train uses advanced magnetic levitation technology, reducing friction and making these incredible speeds possible.
High-speed train is a very good choice. As long as the distance is shorter than 1,000 kilometers, I think a high-speed train is very punctual and very kind of, it will not be disturbed by the weather. So, of course, if you travel longer than that distance, you better take the plane.
This high-speed rail network isn't just about saving time. It's about transforming economies, boosting tourism, and fostering cultural exchanges across regions.
I am really excited. In Brazil, we don't have this type of technology, so it's for the first time I'm here in a high-speed train. So I want to see how fast we can be and how quick we can get to the place that we want. And I'm just excited to see the results of this trip.
For Jamaica, where travel can be slow and expensive due in part to the island's topography, adopting innovative transport options inter-island, like a fast train or improved air connectivity, can be a game changer. Quicker inter-island access means more tourists, new opportunities for trade and economic growth across the region. The bullet train symbolizes China's drive for progress and innovation. For countries like Jamaica and the Caribbean, embracing these technologies could lead to a more connected and prosperous future, shrinking distances and boosting economies. I am Marlon Samuels, reporting for PBCJ News on the bullet train.
In sports, we kick off with football. It's a clash of the Titans in a top-of-the-table Zone I first round the Costa Cup football match today. Defending champions Garvamesio High and former winners Glenmore High will meet on the field of Garvamesio starting at 3:30 p.m. Both teams are locked on 18 points from 6 wins apiece, but Glenmore lead the zone thanks to a superior goal difference. They have scored 36 goals while conceding just 1, compared to Garvamesio's 24 goals with 3 against. The eventual zone winners will gain the advantage of playing at home in the return leg, adding extra spice to this encounter. And that's the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. And remember, we are the People's Station.